this is a quick review on, can you guess what it is? The Hobby King Tundra, or the Durafly Tundra that I got from Hobby King. Don't know if you can get it from anywhere else. And I'm not going to show you this flying, so sorry about that. There's plenty of videos of it flying. This is just my review of it, and I want to go through some of the pros and cons and my experience building it and flying it. And I have a couple of word of warnings. Now, I'd just like to top this off with a quick thank you to anyone that supports me via Patreon, and if you want to support me by Patreon, please do so. By doing so, it helps me get more products to review, and the way I give back eventually will be, once I've built up enough Patreon support, I will give random Patreon supporters products that I've reviewed. Anyway, moving on. This is fantastic, this model. I just want to start off by saying that, but it wasn't without its problems. Now, I'm going to go through the main gripe that I had first of all. Now, for some stupid reason, and I can't understand why, when you plug the wings in, instead of having servo connections for the flaps and the ailerons, so that's 2 per wing, 4 connections in total, to make it easier, they made these PCB boards where there's a half the board is in the wing, half is in the fuselage, and when you plug them together, some pins go into some sockets like some servos, and that's your connection. And that all sounds very good, but first of all, why? Why do you need it on a model like this? A model that would fit with the wings on in an average car. A model that you're not going to take the wing off regularly. I know this. I've been modelling for years. I know the kind of models you take the wings off and the kind you don't. To get the wings off this, you've got to undo 4 screws on the top, and they're tiny little screws into plastic, and they wouldn't take continuous screwing in and screwing out. They're not proper wing bolts like in a like a Watt 4 you'd have 2 wing bolts, easy to take off and on. This is 4 tiny little screws. You'd lose them over the field. Also, if you're going to take the wing off, you'd have to take the struts off. Now, to get the struts off, that's another 4 screws. You could leave the struts attached, but then what's the point of taking the wings off if you've got these struts hanging out? They're going to get ripped off in transit. So you really need to undo another 4 screws, again into plastic, tiny little screws. You're going to lose them, you're going to strip them. They're not going to last taking on and off. So this is not a plane where you'd be taking the wings on and off readily. So what I'm getting to is there's no need to have a plug-in wing connection for your 4 controls. All you need is normal servo connections, no problem at all. So anyway, whilst I was putting this together, one of the flaps started to do this. I thought that was weird, and after testing several things, putting a new servo in, still doing it, and then eventually I bypassed the little PCB board, it worked fine. So I just bypassed that one particular servo, which is a mistake. 4th flight, I was starting to really enjoy the plane. One of the ailerons, I think it was the right hand aileron, went full deflection and locked over at full deflection, and it caused, in the end, it crashed quite heavily, smashed the whole front off, ripped out both the wings, tore the undercarriage off and back. What else did it do? It broke the canopy, the cowling, and bent the motor mount. What else did it do? That was about it. So I spent a whole night, and I mean the night, rebuilding it. Had to strip all the front down, straighten the engine mount. Luckily the shaft of the motor was fine. Glued the whole front back together, glued the wings back into these plastic bits. The struts had ripped out the wings, so I had to glue all that back in, but luckily there was no sort of compression damage, and it all went back together quite well. And one of the positive things is when you're repairing this, you can get your whole hand. This is massive, this thing. You can get your whole hand in it. There's good access to everything. You've got access to it at the front and the back, which is really nice. So I got it all back together, and what I did was I ripped out the PCBs, and I just passed the servos through the hole that the PCBs came out of, those little connection things, into some leads which were in the receiver, and all plugged in absolutely fine. The other thing that broke on it, which was actually while I was building it, was some of the little linkages go on for the flaps. As I was putting that on, it actually snapped off. I'm pretty careful with stuff like that, and it came off too quickly, so that was a pain in the arse having to repair that. So beware. If yours is working fine, and if you want to trust those little PCB plug-in boards, to me it's something to go wrong. I just didn't like it. They didn't look particularly good quality, so I just took it all out, threw it away, and gone back to the old system, which I've used for 25 years and has worked perfectly well, and that's just the servo leads going into the receiver. I can still unplug it. I just unplug 4 things and pull the wings off if I needed to. It's not difficult. So that's that. Whew, glad we got that out of the way. Right, now, everything from now on is positive, because I've got the multiplex fun cub, and a very similar plane to this, but this is better than the fun cub in just about every way I can imagine, apart from the way it goes together. There's little things like when I was screwing some screws in for the undercarriage, some of the screws went in fine, others they were never going in. I actually drill some holes out to get the screws in and things like that. So there's little things like that, but you expect that on a lower quality product. On the multiplex, they just go together nice. But other than that, flight characteristics, this beats the Fun Cub just in every way. It's more rigid. The carbon spar goes virtually to the tips of the main wing. It's a lovely, nice carbon spar. So the wing is lovely and stiff. You've got carbon spar again, which goes right to the ends of the tail plane. It comes to about here and here, and then where the actual elevator itself is quite a big surface, they've got carbon rods inset here and here. There's carbon inset into the rudder. It's just well designed. And it flies what I would call stiff, whereas the Fun Cub is a bit lollopy and the wings flex a bit. Yeah, you can do everything with it, but it will do 4-point rolls nicely. It will knife edge, rolling circuits, flick spins, prop hang. It's got tons of power. Go vertical. Low, slow and inverted is fantastic. Wing drags at slow speed, touching the tyres down one at a time on the field. All that sort of thing is fantastic. The flaps work brilliantly. You can bring this thing down vertically, deploy the flaps, level it, and then just land. It's excellent. Obviously, it came with some floats, which was nice. Not that I'm ever going to use those, but you never know. So you've got the ability to put floats on. It's got a reverse function on the motor, which I've played around with, just sticking about with it. It's designed for on water, but you can have a little bit of fun with it. If you come in, do a really fast landing, like dead stick, and it looks like it's going to go shooting past you and off the edge of the field, and then you just hit the reverse and the thing just stops dead. It's quite amusing. The other negative thing is the undercarriage. It looks good and funky with all the spring system and all that, but it's way too complicated. A nice aluminium undercarriage would have been better. Where I had the crash with this, it's bent it all back and it's a bit of a nightmare now, but it works okay, but I would have liked something a little bit more simpler as an undercarriage. So it does work okay, and the big tyres are fine. They're just foam. They're not squashy or anything, but they're no good on concrete, but they're fine on anything else like grass and that, mud. It's fantastic. Takeoff, you can take off pretty much a quarter of a roll of the wheel forward and it will go up like that. It moves forward a couple of inches in a slight breeze with full flaps, or you can do really long, let the tail come up and bounce along on the wheels. It's just a great fun aeroplane. I've got the Fun Cub, the Watt 4 foamy. I've had lots of foamies. I've got the Multiplex Gemini, I've had the Multiplex Acromaster. I've got the Multiplex Park Master. I've had the Acrowatt. You know, all the usual stuff. This, I have to say, is one of my most favourites, and it's especially in the winter when I don't fly glow or petrol motors. I only fly electric in the winter. This is my most favourite plane because it does absolutely everything you want. You could fly this like a pattern ship. It does reasonably good at that. Not great, but you know, it certainly holds its own. You could fly it as a trainer. You can, if you're in tight spaces, it's great for that because you can get in and out no problem and land on a 2 foot square almost. You can easily hand launch it. Yeah, it's got a lovely motor in it, loads of power, a really nice quality looking motor. It came with a carbon fibre prop, which obviously broke when it crashed, and I've just put an 11.8 on there. I think it comes with an 11.6, but the 11.8 it works fine. In actual fact, once I put this prop on, I got the impression it flew better. You get a good flight time on a 2200 LiPo. Just a standard LiPo 2200 is 3-cell, is fine. You can also use, I've used like if you've got something like a 1300 graphene 3-cell, you basically shift the weight back slightly, which makes it a little bit more lively, makes it lighter overall, which improves the performance. But you've still got the power of the 3-cell, and all you're doing is reducing your flight time slightly. So for a really exciting 5 minutes, you can put a 1300 in here. I haven't tried it on 4-cell. I don't see any need to. I don't know if it will take it. But yeah, so 100% recommend it. I don't know what the price is at the moment. I think it's about 150, 160 quid. It's well worth it when you get all the servos, the speed controller, the motor, even the propeller. You get everything in it. The only thing I would say is if I was buying another one, I would take those little boards out for the wings and just replace them with normal servo connections. That's the only modification I would make, and then you've got yourself a wonderful little plane. So anyway, this is GRVO TV, G's Reviews, Used Opinions with the Durafly Tundra. This is definitely a thumbs up and one I would heartily recommend. Anyway, I'll see you soon. Cheers, bye.